Actually, I was waiting in the other room. They brought you in the wrong door.
Nobody brought us in. Nobody brought us in.
Hey, I brought you guys in here.
See, I was supposed to come do this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Boba Fett reunion.
The Boba Fett. We got something for all ages.
We probably put these mics down here, move the chairs around a little bit. There we go. Everybody have a seat.
So we need mics. We're all scared of the middle seat. Can you all hear us?
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, let the speed dating begin.
Why don't we,
Courtney here.
why don't we work our way down the table and everybody kind of introduce yourself so everybody gets a chance to put the name with the face.
I'm Dickie Bear. I was a stuntman for Boba Fett.
That's not true.
I'm Daniel Logan. I was in The Empire Strikes Back.
And I'm John.
I didn't say they were going to be the right names with the right faces. So it's interesting to have you all here, and you guys have got a chance to spend the weekend kind of hanging out together, signing. Whoever wants to jump in and answer this, maybe each of you can answer it in turn. What is it like to kind of have this connection to this iconic character from Star Wars? Daniel, we'll start down there on the end with you.
He's like, what? Ladies and gentlemen, John Walton. No, you know what, to tell you the truth, being a kid from New Zealand, it was really a life-changing experience. I grew up very kind of poor. My mom kind of hates it when I say that because she worked, her hands to the bones. But Star Wars has been something that changed my life in many great ways. Not only am I able to have new great friends, but I've had opportunities that I would never have been able to have as Daniel Logan. Boba Fett has really allowed me to see the whole entire world, and for that I thank the character and also George Lucas and Lucasfilm. But I think the coolest thing about being Boba Fett is when you go up and you meet somebody, and you're like, oh, hey, I'm Daniel Logan, nice to meet you, and they're like, nice to meet you. And then someone turns around and goes, oh no, that kid played Boba Fett in Star Wars, and they're like, Boba Fett? Nice to meet you, It's like, what the heck just happened to Daniel Logan? That kid just went right out the window.
Yeah, well, I guess in my case, I was Dak, and I still am Dak, but the fans sort of pulled me into this Boba Fett world, and I'll never forget one 11-year-old fella back in 1997 at Hackensack, which was one of the first conventions I did. And he came up and he asked for a Boba Fett autograph, and I didn't know what the protocol was in those days. I said, no, really, yes, I'm Dak, but I did do 2 days as Boba Fett. He said, yeah, so can I have your autograph? And I said, well, look, there's Jeremy Bullock over there. You go ask him if it's okay, because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I just felt, actor to actor and artiste or whatever, he's got the franchise, so to speak. So this delightful young man patiently waited for about 40 people in front of Jeremy to get Jeremy's say-so. And he must have been in line for about 30 minutes, because I had my eye on him as I was doing the DAC signings. And he went up, and there's this conversation going on, and Jeremy looked over and went like this. And the kid came back, and I gave him the autograph, and that was kind of the beginning. So the sum of it all was something that Daniel said 2 years ago when we were all together at Celebration Europe. He said something that really touched my heart. He said, well, we're all a Boba Fett family here. And Dickie was here, and so was Tam, and we were talking about that as we were coming up in the lift. So yeah, we're one big family. So we're clones, man.
Well, my story is a little bit different from theirs. It's about 8 years ago, my daughter came home, and she said, Daddy, you're famous. And I went like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, there's this kid in school, and he has a book about Star Wars, and you're in there as one of the people that played Boba Fett. And I went like, did I? And she said, yeah, this is the character. And she showed me the picture, and I went like, yes, I was in that costume, I remember. And as soon as that came about, like I bumped into another guy and I told him this story, and he started repping me and introducing me to the circus of conventions all over the world, and that's where I met these guys and Jeremy, of course, and
Didn't we meet on
we're always having
Match.com?
a great time over there.
Didn't we meet on Match.com, or was it eHarmony?
I don't know what it was. But I have to correct something though. Like people say he's Boba Fett, but he's not. He's Baby Fett.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
They always get it wrong. It's one of those things. Anyway, so here we are doing another one and having a great time, being a family. And we never fight, only when people are not around.
Yeah, only when he steals my
And
food.
we fight over who pays for the bill at night. And you owe me, by the way, because you challenged us, both of us, and you didn't pay for the drinks last
So
night.
get this, right? I'm like, I just got given the challenge coin. I'm like, I'm gonna get the old guys. They're gonna give me a beer. You know what I mean? So I went up like, you should have seen the cockiness, confidence on my face. This was like a day or two ago. And I'm like, I challenge you with the challenge coin. And basically, if they don't have another challenge coin, they owe you drinks. But if they do have a challenge coin, you owe them drinks.
Yeah.
So I challenged them, and they both pulled out their challenge coins. Like, oh, I got this one like 3 years ago. Two, I'm like, what the heck?
Hey,
You owe you. I'll get you one at the airport.
age before beauty.
Now, John, you're talking about being Dak. You played a couple of different characters, right?
Only in Star Wars, only those two.
Only those two, okay.
I was cast as Dak.
By the way,
Oh, yeah, Dickie was in
I don't know if you guys know, but at your local store of Target, you can get the brand new Dax Star Wars toy. So make sure you go out and get it. Now you know who the guy is. I'm a big fan of John. See, I know. I went to Target. I was like, "There's John."
And actually, it has a likeness to the way Dak used to be 40 years ago, I guess, or 30 years ago. Unlike the original one.
20.
So yeah, there is a likeness. My wife says that's the case, so I guess she ought to know.
Well, Dickie, you said you played a bunch of different characters.
I played 6 characters in Return of the Jedi. And I was originally supposed to play Barada. That was my only character that I was playing. But then all the guys from, the stunt guys from England, we came to Yuma, Arizona for the Sarlacc scene, you know, around the ships and the skiffs and all that. And we started rehearsing, and then on the first day of rehearsal, 5 of the stunt guys ended up in hospital with broken arms and legs and all sorts of stuff. And I was looking at it and I went like, I don't think I'm gonna fall on that side. I better go straight into the hole, from the skiff straight into the hole, because then you don't get hurt. Anyway, I ended up doing that, but because these 5 guys got hurt, suddenly there was nobody to get into their costumes. And that's how I got into Boba Fett's costume, because I happened to be the right size. And that's why I played Boba Fett. And then I played a Gamorrean guard, and of course Barada, and I became stunt double for Mark Hamill when he does all his flip arounds and jumping from one ship to the other. So that was all the stuff around the Sarlacc pit. But then we went to North California, to Crescent City, to do the scene around the bunker with Ewoks and everything. And that's where I played a stormtrooper, a biker scout, a rebel soldier, and again doubling for Luke Skywalker. And so that's how I got into all those costumes. And I was only supposed to play one guy. And
Gosh,
but
he's
because
greedy,
they never-
huh? Greedy. Well, he could have given us all 7 jobs. Hang on, I met Dickie a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But I never realized how much work it took for a Sarlacc scene. And I'd like to tell us about the hole and about some of the special creatures that were really down in there.
Well, falling in a hole was,
How deep was it?
the fall itself, the distance was about, I would say, a good 45 feet from the skiff to actually the hole itself, the mouth. Let's call it the mouth. And underneath there was an airbag to catch you, so you would fall nice and comfortably in there. But the big problem was, it was a set built in the middle of a desert. There was no greenery around, nothing. And there were a lot of snakes and scorpions down there. And they were always finding like the nice dark holes. And where the airbag was the only place where it was really dark and cool. So that's where the damn things were.
But we're talking what, rattlesnakes?
Rattlesnakes and scorpions, and we pulled a joke on a few people. Like, I caught like a nice big scorpion, and we pulled the sting off, and I put that thing on my shoulder. It was still alive, and I put it on my shoulder, and a group of American stunt guys are standing around, like they're always talking about stunts and how great and wonderful they are. And I would stand up and then with that thing on my shoulder, and I would mix into the conversation, and they were looking at me, and then one after the other just walked away. And I went like, where are you going? What's going on? And they said, there's something on your shoulder. And I said, oh, this thing you mean? They were running out of the room like crazy.
So how to scare a stunt
That was his
guy?
Mandalorian, trophy pelt, right? That went with the Wookiee.
It was fun though. Yeah, so we had a good time though. It was fun.
So in playing the role of Dak on the Empire set, what was that like?
Well, that was pretty nifty. The funny thing about it is that when I was cast as a rebel pilot, and so I arrived on the set not knowing who my character was going to be, and I was delighted when the first assistant, or the second assistant, maybe Steve Lanning, came up and sort of said, okay, John, you're going to be playing Luke Skywalker's co-pilot. And I went, oh, yes, man, this is great. Everybody will remember him. And he said, well, that's the good news. The bad news is you're already dead. They had just come back from Norway, where they had shot the scenes where the AT-AT steps on the snowspeeder that was on a glacier in Norway, and a Norwegian extra kind of took the boot for me, and so I was already gone. But what was really quite neat from kind of a fan stargazer perspective is because my scene was so intimately connected with Mark Hamill's, I was with Mark really kind of every day, almost. Don't want to exaggerate, but I must have had lunch with him almost every day for 4 weeks. And so at that time I got to know him pretty well, and he was a very amiable, accessible guy that had no pretensions about his stardom, and just was a regular guy. And that was just terrific, because you got tremendous insights into what was going on in the set and what have you. And so some of my friends would come and join us for lunch. Dave Prowse, I really got to know him quite well because he mixed with us quite a bit. And also Chris Malcolm, who I had worked with on the Rocky Horror Show. He was the original Brad in the stage presentation of Rocky Horror. And Chris was Zev, was that his? Yeah, he was one of the pilots. God bless him, he's no longer with us. He died this year. And then also another guy, a great friend of mine, Eugene Lipinski, who was a Canadian actor, who was one of the Rebel pilots. So the social scene around Empire at that time, when they were shooting the interiors of what we then called the Ice Planet, was pretty good. I mean, at my level, you know, you had your stars, and then you had the sort of the second tier people. And a lot of us had worked together in other films. I mean, Dickie and I discovered we were both on A Bridge Too Far, and many of the folks that were part of Empire Strikes Back had worked on A Bridge Too Far. So it was kind of like a coming home, a reunion, even at that point. So yeah, it was great. I mean, I could go on forever, but that'll give you a taste.
Now, Daniel, these guys were getting into this Star Wars universe as it was taking off. I mean, as a kid, you're getting into something that was thoroughly established. Everybody was excited before the prequel trilogy came out. Maybe not so much as they, as they went on. People are divided on that. But to be a kid and be brought into this universe and know that you're stepping into something that is so huge and so beloved. What was that like? Because how old were you when you were cast as Baby Fett?
Stick it.
I'll be back. You know, it's actually funny because I think I was the only kid in the world that never heard of Star Wars. I grew up in New Zealand where we only had 2 channels on our TV. And I have come from a family of 6, so I have 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters and a younger sister. So for a while I was able to drag my little sister whatever I wanted to watch, but all my life I was dragged to whatever my brothers and sisters wanted to watch. And Star Wars was never really, it never came up, but the thing about it was I grew up in the time period between episodes 6 and 1, and they had 16 years of no Star Wars. Star Wars went quiet for my generation, and I had never heard of Star Wars. When I got given the audition, my agent called me half breathing, half having a heart attack. You know, I got you. I know. I did audition for Star Wars. I'm like, all right, send me the script. You know, I'd never heard of it. And so she's like, no, you don't realize your life is going to be changed forever. And I'm like, well, why is that? She goes, because we're going to be able to forever say you were the kid who auditioned for the kid in Star Wars. I'm like, oh, okay. So I started getting my hopes up and I started researching about what Star Wars was. So I went in for the audition and they asked me, have I ever heard of Star Wars? And I said, I have never heard of Star Wars. And I auditioned out of 5,500 children all over the world. And I think the only kid out of those 5,500 children that had never seen Star Wars was me. So they're like, hey, he's got the job. If you ask Jeremy Bullock, he says that George Lucas was sick and tired of watching all these audition tapes, that he must need to go take get a snack or take a restroom break, and he put it on pause just as my audition came up. He came back, he was sick and tired of seeing him, he sat down and goes, you know what, that's the kid for the role. I don't want to watch anymore. So, I think the time I got excited was when I went to Celebration 2. I had these big 8 bodyguards. And no one was allowed to touch me, they weren't allowed to take photos of me, they weren't allowed nothing. And people were like, oh my God, that's Daniel. And people were running through traffic, like, just to come see me, you know, like, oh, that's the new Boba Fett, that's the kid. You know, and I was like Brad Pitt for a weekend, you know. And like, I was like, well, I'm gonna get used to this. And then I go back home to New Zealand and I'm just Daniel Logan again. Then I come to conventions and I'm Boba Fett. But I've really been able to embrace it for the fact that, you know, being introduced to the world, being a part of it, you know, it's really made for a better fan experience for me. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Star Wars geek nerds there are now, you know, like, I could sit there and talk backstories or stories that I'm like, no, if they do that, it's not gonna go with this, and if they do that, and if they change this, oh, they can't do that. Because I've been asked many a times, Daniel Logan, are you gonna be in the new Star Wars film? And I said, well, you know, if they do the new Star Wars film, Episode 7, as a fan perspective, this might sound like I'm cutting myself out of a job, but I don't see it as me. I see it as Jango Fett. Jango Fett was the ending of the cloning process, and I just happened to be the one that was fit into the beginning of it. So I can still play from baby Boba up to teeny Boba. But I would really like if they did it, you know. I would love to do Star Wars again, but if they were to have him, I think it should look more to what the Jango Fett character did than what, you know, than me in like 40, 50 years in the storyline. Makes sense.
What about Episode 7? Are any of you still, do you still have established relationships with Lucasfilm? Do you still, I mean, would you be ready to do that? I mean, you guys were doing a lot of stunt work. I mean, what do you think?
I don't know what to think, but it's not Lucas anymore, it's Disney now, right? So I don't know what the politics are right now, but I haven't heard anything of it. Apart from the fact that we're shooting it in England, not here in America, and I'm not living in England anymore. So, we'll see what
You
happens.
gotta move, Dickie.
Huh?
You gotta move.
I can
You're
move
in the
if I
wrong
want
place.
to, but I don't think I want to. It rains in England. You know? I'd rather stay in California, nice and dry.
Yeah, amen.
Well, I still have a relationship with Lucasfilm in a curious way. I blog for their Lucasfilm Star Wars website, and I do that with great enjoyment. I've spent most of my time, you know, since getting out of the acting as a writer, And so when I'm blogging, I'm frequently blogging about coming to conventions and interacting with the fans. So that's the only relationship that I have, although I am, because the Dak character was very much focused in that, in between, I guess, the Clone Wars and Episode 3, with the Star Wars Rebels. I'm following that and tracking that very closely, and having met Dave Filoni and and Pablo Hidalgo and what have you at Celebration 2 in Europe, you know, I try to stay in kind of the circle of folks that are tracking what Rebels are up to. I don't say that I've got any particular insights that I can share, but I think what's more likely in my case, since I haven't done any acting jobs, I still have the equity card, which covers film acting in the UK. If there were to be any relationship on an official capacity with Lucasfilm in episodes 7, 8, or 9, or 10, I think that's probably not so much likely, but on the animation stuff that they're doing with Star Wars Rebels, you know, I would like, if they're interested, to get involved in some of the storylining or concepts there. So I'm out there kind of pitching myself in a not so subtle way to do that. And they know that I'm out there working this stuff. But if that doesn't come to pass, and it wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't come to pass, I'll continue to do the blogging, and then I'm setting up my own, you know, website that I'll do some blogging and encourage fan interaction on gaming and you know, the animation and the comics and stuff. So I think I'm probably a transmitter, a two-way street, you know, between the fan community and Lucasfilm and the story group. And that, you know, at my age, that's comfortable.
Excellent. We're going to do some Q&A. So if you've got questions, I'm going to walk this mic over to that mic stand there. So if you've got questions, get in line, and you get a chance to get them. Not everybody at once now. Slow down.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy Cincinnati. No.
Thoughts on episode 7? Are you guys keeping up on rumors and all the stuff that's kind of flowing around out there? Anything that's flying around?
You know, if I kept up with all those rumors out there, I'd be in the new Boba Fett movie that they're talking about, and the TV show, and this and that. Daniel Logan is rumored to be in more stuff than I'm really in. You know how fun that is? I'm like, well, I'm gonna be a Blue Ranger in the Power Rangers? Nah. They're filming down in New Zealand? Maybe. Nah. I hate those rumors.
I'll be real honest with you. The you know, stepping into that you know, rumor mill, you know, making statements. I don't know if any of you were following the discussion in early May. But I was interviewed at the Star Wars Family Fun Day and gave an extensive interview to Movie Cricket, where I started, you know, spouting off what I knew or thought I knew, and that thing went viral. And I have to say, I got in real trouble for that. So
he's not allowed to say that he's the Boba voice in Rebels.
Somebody said that, yeah, I was going to voice Boba Fett and something.
And that is not a rumor. That is true.
Did anybody see all of that? It was very embarrassing. You weren't following it? Good. Well, it was out there. You'll see it on the internet.
And you're gonna hear his voice in the Rebels soon.
I did not.
Stay tuned for more.
I never said that. I don't know where that came from.
A question for one of you that wants to take it. The character of Boba Fett is, you know, been spun off in comic books and in video games. And I was wondering if you have seen anything that you thought was wrong for the character, or anything that you thought was, you know, spot on for the character.
No, I haven't seen anything.
I've seen something. Because I've got a big forehead, my sister calls it a speed bump. It grows my ego. And I've been watching reading the Blood Ties comic books on Boba Fett. And they drew me in on the comics. So I don't even know how to read, but I just sit there like, whoa, that's me. Whoa, that's me. Oh, I look like a monkey in that one. But yeah, you know what? The fact is that Boba Fett is already Boba Fett. There's not much more that we can really do besides tell the stories before, and maybe now after. Because as Dickie said, the Sarlacc pit did not kill Boba Fett, but a rattlesnake might have.
All right, thanks. Two quick. Movie itself. That's my first thing, but sounds like something you guys really can't discuss, or.
I think I can put that one to bed. I'm mean, I was Boba Fett for one scene in 2 days, so I think I can say with great assurance that it's highly unlikely, if not impossible, that I'd be ever involved as a Boba Fett.
John, no. You gotta be like, you never know. You gotta keep watching. Stay tuned for more. Even the morning more like, wow.
I ain't gonna play that one, but if you wanted to ask the question about Dak, well then I can kind of do that.
All right,
But
yeah,
Boba
see, we're
Fett,
gonna train you
I'm
up.
gonna give that one away.
I'm still training him. No more permission from Jeremy. You know, we're all Boba Fett. That's the truth of it all. You know, we all, I don't know how to speak properly. I think it's collaborated or collaborated.
Something like that, yeah.
I didn't say it in the mic because I knew that it wasn't the right pronunciation, but it took us all, I don't know how to but it took us all to create this, you know, amazing character that is thanks to the fans who love it so much, is why who he is who he is.
Oh, definitely.
Back to when I first got the audition, they asked me, oh, you're gonna be playing Boba Fett. So I started pretending like I knew how to do this Mary war dance with a stick. It's called a taiaha. It's kind of like what Ray Park did with his bow staff.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, oh, what kind of Jedi is he? And the casting director looked at me and was like, you really haven't seen Star Wars. And they know he's a bounty hunter. I'm like, what's a bounty hunter?
The last thing, so I love else, just for Daniel, did you find the green room Friday? You asked to borrow my map down there in the fan area.
I found it. I found it. You know what? Actually, what happened was, I looked on the map, and he was the one who told me the wrong directions. He had VIP, the VIP room. So we walked back there, and I had the two cosplay girls with me. I'm like, follow me, I know where I'm going, come on. We go to the VIP place, they're like, where's the green room? I was like, no, this is it, I swear it was on the map. I even asked another person. I found it though, the green room is awesome. The green room comes to you at Cincinnati. You don't go to the green room.
What's your question?
Okay, so John Rhys Davis once said in an interview that Lord of the Rings was going to end up being bigger than Star Wars. I just wanted to know if I could get your thoughts on that.
Come on, we don't even need it.
I think
Who even
there's
talks about
nothing.
Lord of the Rings unless you're like, oh, you're from New Zealand, Daniel? That's where Lord of the Rings was filmed, right? That's about it. Now they made The Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to be the person who put New Zealand on the map. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Lord of the Rings came in and Frodo and everyone else took it over.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, there won't be another.
There's nothing like Star Wars.
No.
I promise you that. Doing these things for 13 years, things will come and go. I promise you. But nothing sticks like Star Wars. I remember I did an interview about 12 years ago. I said, I love Star Wars. They have the richest fans in the world. No, but you know what? I'm just joking about the whole, Lord of the Rings things. I think it's a great franchise. It did a great thing for us when we had nothing, We all needed something to be able to take us to that place, imaginary land. Star Wars is Star Wars. George Lucas is the man. Really.
It's an interesting question. I remember when Lord of the Rings sort of hit when I was in college in the mid-'60s. And I didn't go to an Ivy League school, but all the Ivy Leaguers were reading Lord of the Rings. I remember it was a guy from Dartmouth who was a year or two ahead of me who introduced me to it. I did not read Lord of the Rings. I wasn't into that sort of genre. I was, reading other things like Jack Kerouac and sort of, alternative stuff. So actually, the reason why I mention that is it's an older franchise that, Tolkien was a very, shrewd kind of cultural anthropologist, and he was out of that Oxford-Cambridge tradition. I think that is going to be with us a long time, and you've got people, that are in that franchise that are sort of Shakespearean actors. So there's a different kind of vibe that I think appeals to a different kind of fan base that's very kind of traditional. Going back to Shakespeare and all of that sort of stuff. So I think it will be with us. But I don't want to sound too patriotic about being a Star Wars guy. I think Star Wars because it looks forward to outer space, and as a space opera, I think it's going to have more of it's going to be a larger fan-based community than Lord of the Rings, and will probably, you know, if I were a betting man, I'd put my chips on Star Wars. But I think, like Daniel,
He's a good gambler.
I wouldn't want to dismiss in any way Lord of the Rings. I think that's an excellent. I don't know where you went to, but I think that's a very excellent question and worth a lot of discussion.
If you look at it, how many generations there are here right now that, you know, are Star Wars fans. I get like granddad, the son, the grandson, and then another one on my table, you know, like 4 generations in one family are just in front of me, and they all love it as much as, like, the small kids like it even more than the parents, you know, which is, to me, it's absolutely fantastic, and I love the reactions that I get from them. And I keep on asking them, like, why do you like this damn guy, you know? He's a bad guy. You're not supposed to like bad guys, you know? You're supposed to like the good guys. And standard answer is like a jetpack, right? They love the jetpack. Jetpack, whatever you call it. And yeah, no, I don't think there will be no other film that, or franchise that will beat Star Wars, I think.
Well, it's because of different generations. You have the Grandpa Fetts and the baby Bobas, you know?
Did you have a question?
I did. It's about the Clone Wars series. So in Clone Wars, they used your face and your voice for it. Do you see the whole Star Wars franchise going more towards the animation? Like, you think this is going to be the last live-action movie that they're going to make?
No. See, the thing, and that's what I wanted to bring up about the Lord of the Rings thing, is that George Lucas and Lucasfilm were very smart. I mean, the way they created, they realized that they lost the generation between episode 6 and 1. And that was my generation. But now my generation, being 27 and having kids. So the thing that you can do is not only to bring those people who missed out on this wonderful saga and their kids to it, to be able to bring them both together, is to create a cartoon. And this cartoon picked up on all the kids. I mean, you would not believe all the kids that were like, wow, you played Boba in Clone Wars? I'm like, I also played him in the movie. And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, there's a movie, you know? But the Clone Wars really allowed the generation that was missed to be able to come back into it. And that's why I think with Disney buying it, for a long time, there's not going to be a generation that's going to miss it. You know, we're going to have a couple years maybe in between, but it's not going to ever lose that generation again.
So Disney's going to keep it going properly, keep it going. I'm a little worried about Disney taking control.
It's not fully controlled, you know. It's just mainly, you know, the name of the franchise. So what it is George Lucas is still much, you know, his vision is still there. He actually even has choice on who he wants to direct and write. I mean, you know, Disney's got all their own Imagineers, but George Lucas still has, you know, his say in what he wants to do and where he wants to take it, because ultimately he's our God. You know? He created this, you know. Like, all right, God, you're retired now, and we're moving on to Mickey Mouse as our God. Yippee!
I want to pick up on that because I was on a panel this spring at DC's AwesomeCon with Tim Zahn, who is a very erudite commentator on the passing scene. What he said was very basic. He said Disney has paid $9 billion for that franchise. They're not going to want to blow it. They've got a heavy investment, and so, you know, if they are perceived to be commercializing it to the detriment of the Star Wars legacy, that would be a very bad thing. So Tim is very upbeat about this. I would also say that the key thing for me is this thing called the story group. And the story group is the entity that deconflicts a lot of the stuff that comes from the expanded universe and from the films and the animation series. And so you've got at work here a body of people, if you will, they're kind of like the Council of Nicaea, if anybody appreciates that reference. And let me tell you who is that story group. The key player is Leland Chee. And he was the keeper of the holocron that was originally kept by West End Games. You've got Pablo Hidalgo. You've got a woman named Carrie Beck, who has been with Lucas for some time, and then somebody named Diana Williams, who I don't know, this was the original story group that is kind of putting together how the legacy that's inherited from all different sources, whether it's the EU or whether it's the films or what have you, how they will do the deconfliction. Now, if anybody's been following what Dave Filoni's been saying, and I think Simon Kinberg, I'm not sure, or Weissman, one of those, they're talking about, I think it's Filoni pretty much, he says, we're going to pick up, this canon, non-canon stuff, or EU, non-EU stuff is kind of a bogus, dichotomy. We're going to pick up good ideas from wherever this is and incorporate it, and you're just going to see more of that. And the last thing I would say goes back to something that Tim said as a writer, which I really keyed on. I was very excited that Peter Mayhew was being rumored with some certainty that he was going to come in with Chewbacca. And so at that particular time of the convention in April, there was some discussion on the internet about, well, wait a minute, Chewbacca's dead. He was killed by a moon that fell on him as he was trying to rescue. And so there was all of this business, and I was dinged by Club Jade for getting out in front saying, hey, great, Peter's in this. Well, the fact of the matter is, according to Tim Zahn, well, everything is being recorded by a recorder, and sometimes we get it wrong. So maybe the story about the moon falling on Chewbacca was inaccurate, and we now see that it was a bogus story, and so Chewbacca is with us. And I kind of echoed on this. Let's think back on all the great heroes of our history, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, the Roosevelts, and what have you. As we go through time, new material is discovered about them, and certain facts that we think were correct were not facts at all, but inaccurate reporting. Why would we hold Star Wars to a higher standard than we do in our own journalism and academic writing? Huh? So if we say that the galaxy is something that sometime we get it wrong, then we could say, well, the documentary film of the Battle of Hoth has it that Dak was in the snowspeeder and was stepped on and was killed in Hoth.
We got a couple more minutes. Let's get a couple more questions.
Yeah, I got to visit the sets in Tunisia, and it just kind of I was thinking about it, and I was just kind of curious as to, like, maybe some stories you would have, like maybe like your favorite sets that you got to work on, and just like kind of maybe sharing some cross-cultural experiences that you had that were interesting.
Tunisia. I was never in Tunisia.
No. He went to go see that set, but what your set that you worked on? What was your most favorite or most memorable set that you enjoyed working on?
Well, the Sarlacc pit to me was.
I was about to say that.
That set was phenomenal. The way they built it was, they found this area in Yuma, Arizona, which was all sand hills. They cleaned all the trees that were growing there. They cleaned them all off because it had to be just sand. And right in the middle of it, there's all these hills around. And right in the middle of it, that's where they built the set. And in order to be able to film, to be filming 360 all around without seeing anything like trees or buildings or even like the production unit, the trailers and all that. They built it high enough so they can put all the trailers and the whole base camp underneath the set. So that was the only place where it could be, because otherwise they could not see all the way around. And the way they built that set in those days, and we're talking about 34 years ago,
Give or take.
yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But nowadays they have like scaffolding, they have truss and all that, which is like, quickly put together, and then you can build a set nice and easy. Those days it was all built out of timber, and to me, that was the most impressive that I've ever seen. And the disadvantage about it was the animals that would find shade in our base camp, which was not fun. But yeah, and I think that was the most memorable set that I worked on. Like even on stage, you know, it was the stages in England were just pieces of the interiors, which wasn't as much fun.
Even when they kept hitting you?
Huh?
Even when they kept hitting you?
I just want to say that what you're getting here is insights from a man who has done stunt work and appeared in what, 117
Yes.
films?
Oh, about 150 something.
All right, he's worked on 150 films. This guy is a legend.
He just worked on Need for Speed. I saw him and I'm like, dude, I saw the car chases. You're amazing. That was awesome.
It was fun.
He downplays everything. I outplay everything.
I have a saying which is, I crash for cash.
Do you guys feel that working on Star Wars has opened up more acting possibilities for stunts or just straight up acting?
It didn't open more possibilities, no, but as I said, like I played those 6 parts. The only reason why I could, because it was the right size and we had a helmet or facial, what you call it, prosthetics, you know, or a head or mask or whatever, so they would never know who's in the costume. That's the only reason why I could play all these parts. Otherwise, you know, it would not have been possible because you can't show the same face all the time. I did, however, play one part where you do see my face, and on the cards, you know, the Star Wars cards that you can buy, they actually changed my face. Like, I have one where I'm called Sergeant Jenkin or some Junkin, and then another one says Rebel Soldier, and it's the same picture, but they put a beard on the one, and they put a beard off on the other one. But that's the only time that you actually see my face. And I didn't find out until I was in Japan, and somebody handed me the 2 cards, and they said, "Is this you, both of them, with different names?" And I looked at it and said, "Yeah, that's my picture." So, you know, there you go.
And Dickie forgot until 8 years ago that he actually played in the character. So do you know how much more work he would have got? He's got to do like thousands of films. Like, hey, yep, I was Boba Fett. You were? Can you imagine how much work he would have got?
Yeah, probably.
See, for me, Star Wars really changed my life because of the fact that I was a New Zealander, and I haven't really, as you guys might have realized, you're like, why is everyone's like, why don't you work anymore? Like, do you just do conventions? I'm like, no, but you know, they outpay, and I love going there and people tell me how wonderful I am. Boost my ego again, but Star Wars really.
He likes the party. That's why he's here.
Yeah, I just come to have fun, really, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Get away from doing the dishes for about a couple of days. But no, Star Wars changed my life in a matter of 180. I came to this country and I got with a lawyer and I asked, hey, can you help me get a visa? And they had all these lower leveled visas. And for some reason, my father, he's like, why don't we try for the O1 visa? And I didn't know what an O1 visa it is. It's basically an alien with extraordinary abilities. So basically, a man who had been at school for decades and is very good in his profession, like science, medicine, whatever. And it came back that I fell into that category of being Boba Fett. You know, I'm like, wow. So when I applied for my green card, I knew I had to try and pull in all my chips. So I contacted George Lucas, Rick McCullum, Ewan McGregor, and they all wrote me the most wonderful letters, especially George Lucas. And they said that it'd probably take about 6 months, and in between that period, you have to go back to your place of residence, or where you originally came from, until they accept you or deny you. So they said I'd be back there for 6 months, and I was going back down to New Zealand. I'm like, oh, man. Like, all you guys are like, what? But I'm like, it's so boring down there. My family's all there. You know? So I was like, oh, I'm going to be stuck with these people for 6 months? All right. So I leave about 4 days later after we submit, and I fly down to New Zealand, and I no lies, I get there and I'm there for no more than 4 or 5 hours. It was like it was an hour, that's how quick it was. And I get a call from my lawyer and she's like, this is unbelievable. You've been approved. So the only way I know I was approved was because there was some poor Star Wars fan out there really wanted George Lucas, Ewan McGregor's, and Rick McCullum's signatures. That they did the old.
Yeah. What's
Who the heck is this Daniel Logan kid? But approve. You know what I mean? So it really, I love Star Wars. I really do. I love George Lucas. I really, seriously.
It was the same with me, actually. When I applied for my green card, I got George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Harrison Ford to write a letter. Actually, the letter was written by my attorney and then given to them. All they did was put it on their own letterheading and signed it.
Well, they all wrote me individual letters.
That's what he thinks. But that's all right. You know, we have time. But anyway, yeah, because of that, I got it in 3 months. Yeah. And they said, literally said, it's because they said that you're the best thing since sliced bread, and America can't live without you. And you know, if you have the right people saying something to it, then your career goes really fast. Yeah.
Well, this goes back to the storyboards and the canon. I mean, despite what we as fans think, you guys have been connected to these beloved characters, especially someone who's such a cult favorite as Boba Fett. What are your opinions with the fact that your histories that you portrayed can actually be changed now for your characters?
I don't know.
Well, the fact is that everyone's gotten their hopes up that Boba Fett might still be alive.
He is alive. We're here.
But
What are you talking about? What do you think? I was bitten by a snake in that water? No, I came out. I'm here.
I don't know, Dickie, were you? Wasn't that an amazing story, though, about the snakes? When he told me that, I was like, I thought my role was hard to play. You know what I mean? I didn't have to risk my life one day on set.
Well, actually, the movie almost killed me. You know that. You don't know this story. I was playing the Gamorrean Guard, and you know, when all the fighting starts, and then Carrie, Princess Leia, she knocks me out with a sword or a chain or something like that, and I fall over, being the Gamorrean Guard. And
Let me stop you there. It's called a lightsaber.
no, I thought she hit me with a chain. I'm not sure. I think it was the chain that.
What did they hit her with?
Probably no.
The chain, right? Okay.
All right, I apologize for that, Dickie. I'm very sorry.
Well, I don't know these films too well, you know that. But anyway, so she knocks me over, and take one, wonderful. Then 3 guys had to come in and lift me up, put me back on my feet, because I couldn't get up by myself. That outfit was like huge, and I had extended arms, so I couldn't even use my arms to lift myself up. So we do take 1, take 2, take 3, and I think take 4, and then take 4, bang, I'm on the floor again, and they call it lunch. And everybody went for lunch, and the 3 guys that were supposed to pick me up. So I'm on the ground with this head that I could not take off because my arms were extended, and I could not even lift off my head. And you couldn't survive with that mask on, with that thing on your head for more than 5 minutes. Anyway, I'm on the floor, everybody goes for lunch, and I pass out. Next thing I know is I wake up, and as Carrie Fisher is slapping me in the face. And she said, come on, wake up, wake up. And I woke up, and I went like, what happened? And she said, well, I went for lunch, and you weren't there, and I saw you fall on the ground, but I never saw anybody pick you up. And, so she said, I came back to see if you were still on the ground, and I was.
He was saved by Princess Leia.
She literally saved my life, because I would probably have died if I would have stayed there for the 1 hour lunch, because you were rebreathing your own air with that mask on, you know. It was, anyway, so that was a story that you didn't know yet.
If that was me and Natalie Portman, I would have woke up like, huh?
Sorry, princess, is this a dream?
Right?
I had a nice relationship with Carrie, actually. Yeah.
Apparently, she came back and saved your life.
She was my sister, right? We are all family. Don't you remember, like when you work on a movie, you're all family? So there was my sister coming to save me.
Hey, Kentucky's across, not a joke.
We are out of time. We've got another panel that's coming in, but you guys are going back down to the floor, right?
So he's basically saying, you guys gotta leave, you can't stay here.
We're gonna be at the panel down at the room here.
Yes.
Come see us.
We're all together. Thank you for spending your time with us and listening to our stories. I know we're a little wacky, but we're the Boba Fettish.